Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So to become Krishna conscious, it's a process. It's a process with stages that you have in the beginning. Our mentality is still materialistic, and therefore we make offenses, and offenses while chanting, offenses while doing devotional service. Because devotional service is not an external activity only, it's primary an internal activity, and an activity of consciousness, having the right consciousness. So the first stage is the offensive state, but the second stage of Krishna consciousness is the purification stage, when we become purified. So after a few years practicing Krishna consciousness, we can really come to that stage. But there is an internal change that needs to take place in our mentality. That the third stage is the attaining of love of God. That's very far away for us. But these are 3 stages we have to go through. It's important to understand Krishna, that it is a process. Now, that process has been explained by Srila Rupa Goswami, that especially in the nectar of devotion, Bhagavad Gita is our philosophy. Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna, very essential to understand who Krishna is and what our relationship is, that we can understand to Srimad Bhagavatam, that how to practice devotional service. Srila Prabhupada has written Nectar of Devotion. So Prabhupada says about Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is our manual, how to practice Krishna consciousness. It's our manual. So yes, that every devotee, Srila Prabhupada said, should know this book from inside and outside. The Nectar of Devotion is quite a voluminous book, and it's only a summary of Bhakti Rasamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita, written the Nectar of the Devotion, written by Rupa Goswami. And this process is a process of devotional service, is explained by Rupa Goswami in the verse starting with Adar Shadat Atas Sangatya Nivritasya Bhajana Kriya Nivritasya. He explains 9 stages in devotional service. In the beginning, you have some faith. You hear from a Swami, you read the book, you start to have faith. But then you come to associate with devotees, sadhu sangha, and you accept the guidance of a spiritual master. And the devotees and the spiritual master explain you how to practice devotional service. That's Bhajana Kriya. And this practice of devotional service, Bhajana Kriya, in the beginning is unsteady. You don't chant immediately 16 rounds. and follow all their principles. But then at a certain moment, nishtita, becomes steady. And then, if we give up our offensive mentality, anartha nivritti, our heart becomes purified. And when our heart is completely purified, we become nishtha, we become liberated, we become situated on the spiritual platform. What's the beginning of spiritual life? And then ruchi comes, you get taste for spiritual activities. And asakti, you find Krishna in your heart. And then bhava, love starts to develop. That's the preliminary stage of love. And then we have prema, developing of love of God. So that's a whole process, and a long process, a slow process. Prabhupada is a slow process of devotional service. But the nectar of devotion is quite, explains that process, but it is quite an elaborate thing. That 64 items of devotional service are explained, how to perform devotional service. And of the 64, 5 are most important. Chanting the holy name, that we should all do. That we should all hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We should all worship the deity every day. That should all associate with devotees. That, and take prasadam. That, so these are 5 most important items. But this book is really elaborate, too much to digest in just a few days even. That, although my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charamaj, this was the first book he read, Nectar of Devotion. And he read it in one night. He was so fascinated by that. And after reading Nectar of Devotion, he wanted to meet Srila Prabhupada. But now Rupa Goswami has summarized this Nectar of Devotion for us in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction. And this Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita, contains the basic elements, how to make spiritual advancement. That is the basis. If you don't follow Nectar of Instruction, you will never become Krishna conscious. So we must follow all these instructions. And the process of Krishna consciousness in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, is described in 11 verses. And therefore we will read together this, this preface. I put, starting with the preface of the Nectar of Instruction, and discuss this. And we will read it together. I will start reading, and then everyone can read the paragraph. And if there are questions, we discuss, because it's important that we understand how to bring this in practice. The purpose of this group is that in the beginning, you go to this Nectar of Instruction and you discuss with each other that, and cultivate friendship with each other. That's important. Friendship, and that we get to know each other, so that we are not afraid to share what's in our heart, what the doubts we have, and of how to practice this process. That, so we have here the preface. I will start reading the first paragraph. That, so the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada writes, is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas or Bengali Vaishnavas are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. Therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Rupa Raghunati Padehaiva Akuti Kabe Hame Bujabase Yuhala Piriti. When I'm eager to understand the literature given by the 6 Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the signs of Krishna. The most exalted of all activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes and conjugal love with the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow his footsteps, one must seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis, Sri Rupa, Sanatana, Bhatta, Raghunath, Sri Jiva, Gopal, Bhatta, Dasa, Raghunath. So this are the 6 Goswamis, direct followers of Lord Chaitanya. They were all Babaji's renunciants that finally they came all to Vrindavan, where I'm now, and Govardhan. That's where they were, and where Rupa Goswami compiled this nectar of instruction. So these 6 Goswamis are direct followers of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, who appeared in this age to give us the process to make spiritual advancement, the main process, the chanting of holy name. But within that process, there are a lot of things to do and not to do. Therefore, this nectar of instruction has 11 verses. The first verse will explain that the need to control the senses, and we will discuss how to do that. And then the first verse will discuss that, the second verse will discuss things to avoid, not to do. The third verse will explain things to do. And if we do these things and avoid activities which are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness and do activities that are favorable for Krishna consciousness, our heart will become purified. Our materialistic motivation and desires will be destroyed gradually. And then what's the result? We will be able to develop spiritual relationships with each other. Thus the fourth verse explains how to perform these spiritual relationships. And then the fifth verse explains how to act within that relationship. So then we come clearly to the spiritual platform if we follow these first 5 verses. And it is the basis of our Krishna consciousness. We should have always this nectar of instruction with us. If we are not making spiritual advancement, then the question may arise, yes, that what am I doing wrong? Why not? Why am I not making spiritual advancement? The answer is here in nectar of instruction, that we are not sufficiently follow these first verses of nectar of instruction. So that's very important. It's very important for the beginner, but also for the advanced. That because in the next verses from 6 to 11, the higher stages of devotional service are explained. That, but first we have to go to the first 5 pages, and that may take many, many years. Can someone read the next paragraph? Maybe James, can you read? Srila Rupa Goswami was a leader to the Goswamis, and you can read the next paragraph also.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to see if I can read it. Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis. And to the guide of our activities, he gave us this Upasamrita, the nectar of instruction. Upadeshrami, the nectar of instructions to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Siskrataka Rupa. Shishastaka Rupa. Goswami gave us the Upadesramta so that we may become pure Vaishnavas.
Yeah. So Upadeshamrita, those are 2 Sanskrit words. Upadesh, Amrita. Amrita means nectar. And Upadesh means the highest instructions. So these are the highest, the nectar of all instructions. Yes, Bhaktin Kali.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for doing this and reading. I just have a question because you mentioned to kind of share what's on our like the doubts that might be on our heart. And so I feel you said in the beginning that, we should all read, everyone should read this nectar of instruction. But I find that this is said about the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna book. And then when I read Charitamrita today, I was reading in Srila Prabhupada's purports, he's mentioning like Hari Bhakti Vilas and all these other books written by the Goswamis. And I just kind of find it a little bit overwhelming that there's so many books that we should be reading. It feels like impossible, at least for someone like myself, to try to read all of these books and to try to do it all with clear understanding. And like, I guess that's something I'm a little bit confused on.
Yeah. So the advice of Rupa Goswami is you read Upadeshamrita and concentrate on that. The other books, Bhagavad Gita, is also good to read. But if one has not mastered and practiced these 5 first verses of Upadeshamrita, you will not understand anything from Chaitanya Charitamrita. You may think you understand, but you will not go deep into it. So Chaitanya Charitamrita we should not read in the beginning. Better to read teachings of Lord Chaitanya as a summary. That is what Prabhupada advised. That because this is high philosophy, but we are speaking now about the basis. If we don't have the basis, then we will not get the spiritual intelligence to understand the other books. You may try for years. I've experienced many years. I read so many books, I didn't understand anything until I came to change my inner mentality. And this mentality that we must change, we can change only if we follow these basic instructions in nectar of instruction. And about this change of mentality, I will try to explain this in another way, that because for the moment I'm working on a book, Attaining the Bliss of Chanting, and there I mention a piece written which has been spoken by Bhakti Charumaj, who speaks about a change of heart. That and I will try to get this on the screen. Moment. That's okay. Here. It's starting. It's a little slow, but the moment, yeah. Okay. It's starting. Yeah. It's not yet on the screen. A little. Yeah. Now I try to share it. Just a moment. Okay. No. So that is the book I'm working on. That I'm writing this in the introduction. This introduction. So it's good to understand what we want to achieve within that process. Yeah. Yeah, it's here. Yeah. I'll read it for you. So when one is in the body concept of life, one wants to enjoy sense gratification. But when one comes to the intellectual platform, the Jnana Kanda section of the Vedas, one strives for mukti or liberation. From bhukti, sense gratification, to mukti, to liberation. Srila Prabhupada points out that liberation or renunciation is of two kinds, negative and positive. The endeavor for negative liberation is like a prisoner who thinks that getting out of the prison is the goal of life. And if he tries to escape from prison by digging a tunnel or scaling the wall, then he may be out of the prison, but he's not free. The police may go after him. That is the negative liberation. So that we don't want. Now, what we want is a positive liberation. The real way to get out of the prison is to make an appeal to the king. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I promise that I will never make such mistake again. That should be our prayer to Krishna. I'm surrendering myself unto you, and I will simply serve you and abide by your laws. Then the king says, okay, fine, release him. However, the king may not release him straight away. The king, after receiving that appeal, may send a message to the prison authority and mention that such prisoner has made such appeal. So please watch how he's behaving. Then the prison authorities start to watch him and treat him in a special way. And when they see that he's acting properly, they use him as a role model to demonstrate to the other prisoners. Act and behave like him, and you will also get his facility. And the king receives a report that he's acting so nicely. And the king feels that I need a good servant. Then the king says, send him to my palace. So that is the positive liberation, from the prison to the palace of the king. And when he's in the prison, he's not treated like a prisoner. He's treated in a very special way. So this is our change of mentality we have to undergo. But what do we need to realize? That, like I said a few times, someone asked Bhujan Prabhu, disciple of Prabhupada, are you a self-realized person? And he said, yes, I'm self-realized. I realized I'm a complete nonsense. That we have to realize. That's the first step. If we are not realizing that we make a mistake by coming to this material world to enjoy like Krishna, we will not make spiritual advancement. And that requires the right inner mindset, the appropriate mentality. And that appropriate mentality is brought to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshastaka. So here is Shikshastaka is mentioned. And what does the third and fourth verse of Shikshastaka say? Krinata Pishnechne Tavora Visvishne Manana Manadana Kirtanya Sudari. Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim Kavdavashi Kamali, Mamacha Manicha Manishme Bhavta Bhaktira Haid. We must become humble, tolerant, give all honor to others, don't ask honor for oneself, don't want material things, don't want association with the opposite sex, just want to serve Krishna out of love, without asking something in return. That's the change of mentality. These are the qualities we need to develop. Unless we develop these qualities, we are not going to make spiritual advancement. And that is what these main instructions are about. That, okay. Maybe.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah. Kylie, can you read the next paragraph? In all spiritual affairs?
Yeah. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva-gun, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami, and then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed.
So that is the first lessons we have to learn. Yeah, what a wrong mentality comes by association of the material modes, passion and ignorance. So we have to come to goodness. That the goodness is a lifestyle without material desires. It's a peaceful lifestyle, very clean, cleanliness is next to godliness. Coming to goodness is very important. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, I established a Varnashram system for Varnash and Ashram. And the whole purpose is to bring everyone to the level of goodness. In goodness is less much suffering. It's not yet transcendental. But to come to goodness, we must control our senses and not act for sense gratification. That's the first duty, controlling our senses, getting control over our lives. Not letting, we cannot allow that we are controlled by the senses. Then there is no question of spiritual life. And you are controlled by the senses and the mind because of ignorance and passion. Yes, Bhakti Kali.
Hey Krishna, yeah, I just wanted to quickly ask, sometimes, I mean, it might seem like personally, I feel like I see some devotees and it would seem that they are in like this is me just in the observation mode, but they might be in passion or ignorance, like it feels that way to me, but they are so, like, it feels like also at the same time, they're very transcendental. So can you kind of explain like the transcendental platform and how it's like not associated with the modes, or does it still seem like someone goes into the modes? I don't know. Can you explain that?
Bhakti Kali, what are the symptoms of goodness and what are the symptoms of being transcendental?
Oh, are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you. What are the symptoms of one in goodness and what are the symptoms of one on the transcendental platform?
Bhagavad Gita talks about one who is in the mode of goodness is conditioned by the mode of by happiness. One the symptoms is like purity, cleanliness, knowledge, self-control. I cannot remember all of them. Transcendence, I don't know. I feel it's one who's not affected by, I can't remember what the Bhagavad Gita says, but one who is not affected by external environments.
Arjuna is asking that in the 14th chapter. Oh Krishna, tell me, what are the symptoms of one who is situated in transcendence? And how do I transcend the modes? So in verse 24, I think 24 and 25 of the 14th chapter, Krishna gives a lot of characteristics of transcendence. One who is equal to happiness and distress, that who is not affected by the modes of nature, that so there are many maybe you can go to it.
Sorry, I don't want to take so much time. I can look into it. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, but it's important to understand this. 14. These are here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu. You can read it.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Okay.
Yeah. And how do we transcend the modes of nature?
No idea.
Yeah. Mamsio Vyabhacharya Bhakti-Yogana Sevata Sagunan Samatichitam Brahmaboya Kalpate. When we engage in full devotional service unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. So unfailing, it's full devotional service. And that is what Lord Chaitanya explains in this verse 3 and 4. Full devotional service you can attain when you become humble, tolerant, you give all honor to others. You don't want material things anymore. It's all temporary and futile, only what you need. And no association with opposite sex, just wanting to serve Krishna out of love. And that we can only attain if you develop all these qualities. And to develop these qualities, you must first control your senses, Rupa Goswami says. That's the first thing. And then avoid activities that's going to contaminate your consciousness and bring your senses again out of control. You have to avoid that. And then do activities that will develop attachment to Krishna. If you become attached to Krishna, we become detached from matter. So that is the question. I would not be too much concerned with whether devotees are transcendental or not. Tries to see first where we are and what our situation is, not trying to judge others. That unless we practice this basis of nectar instructions, we will not be able to judge that nectar instructions, the preface.
Thank you.
We are there again. So, Bhaktin Kati, can you read the next paragraph here, the last one? Well, maybe if it's not possible, maybe someone else can read, who volunteers to read the
I think she's trying to read it, but I think she's muted, I think.
muted. Yeah. Maybe someone
Try
else can read it then. Who wants to read it?
So can she unmute or no? Should I ask to unmute her?
Let me go help. I'll help her. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I asked to unmute.
Oh, there.
Okay, good. Please, Bhakti, read.
Advancement. Oh gosh,
Yes, turn it down.
mine's all the way down.
It's an echo that if you put your sound a little down, then it will diminish.
Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. A follower of the Krishna conscious movement should become a perfect Goswami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Upadeshamrita, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books such as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, and Lalita Madhava, but the Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly, then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada is very clear. We should become Goswamis, all. Not externally, but internally. That and how to learn to control our mind. The mind is controlled when it's fixed in Krishna. And therefore, he gives us all these instructions to make our life successful. So yes, that's unless one controls the senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. So Rupa Goswami has also written many other books. That Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but we have here Nectar of Instruction is a summary of it. That and Vidagdha Madhav and Lalita Madhav, these are dramas he wrote. It's not, one can read them when one is self-realized or has made advancement in spiritual life. Yes, Purnachandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj, for the wonderful instructions and telling us how to read this and understand. And also thank you. You are so busy, but you agreed to spend time with us. Maharaj, when we hear this or read books by Srila Prabhupada, that time we feel that yes, I'm changed and I will be in a proper consciousness. But once we are out of that, then many times I struggle to follow those instructions. So what is the best way to continue following those instructions?
Yeah, we should be aware that it's not that we try to become Krishna conscious during our sadhana, but we should become Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. But the sadhana is a beginning. If you have a good sadhana, then there's a good chance you may remember Krishna. So we have discussed in the beginning the mentality, the change of mentality we have to make. That we must understand we are in difficulty. Unless we understand we are in difficulty, we will not be able to think of Krishna. That if we work during the day and we think I'm in control, I'm going to arrange all my affairs, Krishna takes in the background. But everything we do, we should pray to the Lord. Learn to pray to the Lord. Please guide me. I just want to serve you. Please purify my heart. Please take away this attachment. Please have this challenge in my work. I will do my work for you. Please help me to do that. So every moment, we should take shelter of Krishna, not just during our japa. But if we forget Krishna during the day, it's not a good sign. It means we are falling back in our old habit, and that habit has to change. That, and for this, we should do activities, dovetail our activities with Krishna consciousness. That, but it's all about controlling the mind. That if you do activities during the day and you forget Krishna, you are controlled by the modes. Krishna is not there, the modes are there. There's nothing between. You are full under control of the modes if you are not connected with Krishna. That, so the question is to connect always with Krishna. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada, a reporter asked, what was the earliest time you remember that you became Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, I cannot remember any time I was not Krishna conscious. Any time. Every moment we should be Krishna conscious. So, but of course, if we are engaged in Prabhupada's mission and that's our activity, then we are indirectly Krishna conscious, because we do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So that is something we have to learn. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness is meant for all the members of the Krishna consciousness to think 24 hours a day of Krishna. 24 hours. That this is important that we remember that. How to, that this is a training to think 24 hours a day of Krishna. You will see during the day, when you forget Krishna in your activities become very heavy. So many problems, it becomes heavy. So many challenges. Why is that? Krishna does not want you to forget him. If you forget Krishna, Maya is there, who will punish you and makes your life very difficult. But if we are 100% Krishna conscious during the day and depends on Krishna and do our work without attachment for Krishna, then we will feel Radha Krishna in our heart. And there will be no difficulty. Jiva Goswami says, yes, that for non-devotees, the material world is hell. And for devotees, the material world is just a transition to go to Goloka Vrindavan. That's the difference. That, anyway, we will read Nectar of Instruction 1 now, which explains us how to control the senses. And we should just discuss together how to do that based on the purport. I will first read the first verse, and we can discuss the first paragraph together, and then our time will be over, I think. Vacho vegam masakoda vegam, shiva vegam udaro pasta vegam, etam vegam yo visaheta tira, savana pimam pritivim nasisya. A person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the anger, the action of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Then we have the first paragraph. So, Diana, can you read? Is that okay? You have to unmute.
Yeah, I know you said my wife, and she's having a hard time reading it. So if you don't mind, Maharaj, I'll read it.
Okay, good.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.9 through 10, Prakshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Sukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see a thief arrested, by the police, yet he continues to steal. Experience is gathered by hearing and seeing. One who is less intelligent gathers experience by seeing, and one who is more intelligent gathers experience by hearing. When an intelligent person hears from the law books and the shastras or scriptures that stealing is not good and hears that a thief is punished when arrested, he refrains from theft. A less intelligent person may first have to be arrested and punished for stealing to learn to stop stealing. However, a rascal, a foolish man, may have the experience of both hearing and seeing and may even be punished, but still he continues to steal. Even if the 3-year-old is loose, I apologize. Even if such a person atones and is punished by the government, he will again commit theft as soon as he comes out of jail. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement? Thus, Prakshit Maharaj inquired.
Yeah, we will stop here.
Perfect.
What Prabhupada is saying here is, yes, we should be first-class learners. That first class is you hear that it's bad. Okay, stealing is bad, I will not steal. Second class is you hear that stealing is bad, but you have still the tendency. But then you see someone is arrested by the police and you decide, yeah, okay, I will not do it. And then the third class is, yeah, someone knows it's bad, but yes, he wants to steal. He sees someone is arrested, still he wants to steal. Unless he's arrested himself, he will not stop. So what is said here is that, yes, we should learn by hearing this first class. No need to be punished. And we can learn by trying to understand these instructions here given by Rupa Goswami. A sober person can tolerate the urge to speak. The mind demands the action of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So we want to speak about so many things, but we should learn to speak. We will see in the next verses about Krishna and our relationship with Krishna. That's reality. All what's happening in the world is temporary. Soon, all these relationships we know in this material world are temporary, and soon we are out. But we are the spirit soul. We have a spiritual form. The soul has a spiritual form, and the soul has its own thinking, willing, and feeling, which we have lost now. But that will be revived when we become Krishna conscious. And then we will get back our eternal life, our relationship with Krishna. And that doesn't stop with the death of the body. But the third stage is control the mind. Don't act out of anger. Don't act out of lust. Control the mind. But you can only do that if you start with controlling the tongue. The if you don't control the tongue, then you will eat a lot. and then that, because you are overeating, it's pushing on the genitals, and you want sex life, and lust comes. That will explain in the next verses. And controlling the tongue, Rupa Goswami says, means, because controlling the tongue, two ways of controlling the tongue. We must practice both. The first way of controlling the tongue is use it for chanting Hare Krishna. And then, surely, if we are chanting in the right mood, our heart will become purified, and this tendency to overeat and lusty things, we will lose that affection. And we should only take Krishna Prasad, food offered to Krishna. Because food offered to Krishna is transcendental and will purify us. Purify the gross body and the subtle body. So that is a first instruction he gives, and that will be explained further more in detail in this purport, and we will discuss that purport with each other. The question to you will be, how do I practice that in my life? And let's discuss that. That's very important. How to practice this in our lives. That unless we control the senses, we cannot change our mentality and our consciousness. That otherwise, we are controlled by the modes of nature. A controlled mind means learn to be in goodness. And Prabhupada will explain that expertly in this purport. And we will discuss that, start discussing that next week. So I hope this first session was useful for you. I've tried to explain what we want to achieve, but and surely we will go to these first 5 verses. We'll only study the first 5 verses. After the first verse is esoteric, that you can discuss in the Nectar of Instruction course, and you can read it. But we will not discuss it at this point. That first try to come to the basic points. And unless we follow these first 5 verses, there's no question of spiritual life. And these first 5 verses is a summary of the process we find in Nectar of Devotion. It's really condensed. That, so you have 1 minute. If someone has a question, otherwise I look forward to be with you again next week.
Yes,
Next Wednesday evening, it will be for me 2 a.m. in Brussels. But now I'm in Govardhan. It's 6:30 in the morning and I have to leave for Delhi. Thank you very much. I was very happy to be with you, and I look forward to discuss this more deeply with you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.